Be Wealthy and Smart, episode 1477.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin reserve and the altcoin stockpile that David Sachs, the AI and crypto czar, tweeted about last night that caused a big uproar on social media again. So David said, just a few minutes ago, President Trump signed an executive order to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve. The reserve will be capitalized with Bitcoin owned by the federal government that was forfeited as part of criminal or civil asset forfeiture proceedings. This means it will not cost taxpayers a dime. It is estimated that the U.S. government owns about 200,000 Bitcoin. However, there has never been a complete audit. The executive order directs a full accounting of the federal government's digital asset holdings. The U.S. will not sell any Bitcoin deposited into the reserve. It will be kept as a store of value. The reserve is like a digital Fort Knox, with the cryptocurrency often called digital gold. Premature sales of Bitcoin have already cost U.S. taxpayers over $17 billion in lost value. Now the federal government will have a strategy to maximize the value of its holdings. The Secretaries of Treasury and Commerce are authorized to develop budget-neutral strategies for acquiring additional Bitcoin, provided that those strategies have no incremental costs on American taxpayers. In addition, the executive order establishes a U.S. digital asset stockpile consisting of digital assets other than Bitcoin forfeited in criminal or civil proceedings. The government will not acquire additional assets for the stockpile beyond those obtained through forfeiture proceedings. The purpose of the stockpile is responsible stewardship of the government's digital assets under the Treasury Department. Promises made, promises kept. President Trump promised to create a strategic Bitcoin reserve and digital asset stockpile. Those promises have been kept. This executive order underscores President Trump's commitment to making the U.S. the crypto capital of the world. And then he goes on to thank President Trump for his leadership. So let's go back to the beginning here. He talks about the strategic Bitcoin reserve with Bitcoin already owned by the federal government, and that there's 200,000 Bitcoin, which at a price of approximately 100,000 per Bitcoin, which puts us at $20 billion. But he says there's never been a complete audit, and they're going to do an audit to see what the holdings actually are. So there could be more or there could be less. My guess is there's probably more than what we have been told. They also clearly say they're not going to sell any Bitcoin. And so he's very clearly saying that this is going to be something that will be held, not additionally purchased, not sold, but will be just held on to for the future. And then he makes the point that selling Bitcoin early has actually meant that taxpayers didn't participate in $17 billion of potential additional value that Bitcoin would have had. And that's a really good point because this is a new asset class. It's different from any other investment, any other asset in existence. It acts differently, it's much more volatile, but it also is limited in number, and that is going to help its value in the future. Then he said they're going to authorize the Secretaries of Treasury and Commerce to develop budget-neutral strategies for acquiring additional Bitcoin, meaning that if there's a way that they can acquire additional Bitcoin without costing the taxpayer anything, they're going to do that. That probably needs more clarification. I don't know off the top of my head what exactly he's referring to. Then he talks about, in addition, there will be a U.S. digital asset stockpile consisting of digital assets other than Bitcoin, which were forfeited in criminal or civil proceedings. And this is where it gets very interesting, because he mentions civil proceedings. And we know there is a civil proceeding pending against Ripple. and that a judge did impose a ruling for a fine that is currently on deck to be paid by Ripple, possibly, or some people think it may get dismissed. Now, the lawyers say because the judge imparted the fine, it can't be dismissed. All the other lawsuits that were dismissed that the SEC brought did not have a ruling by a judge that had a fine pending. So that makes this case different, and it is likely, I believe, that the fine would have to be paid. If the fine has to be paid, then I think what David Sachs is saying is that could be put into the U.S. digital assets stockpile. And that could result in $125 million worth of XRP possibly being paid into this reserve. We shall see. That is what is getting a lot of people's attention and, frankly, excitement. And David Sachs does say that the purpose of the stockpile is responsible stewardship of the government's digital assets under Treasury Department. Then he goes on to remind us that Trump has a commitment to making the U.S. the crypto capital of the world. And I think that tells us that this is a worldwide endeavor in which all countries are going to be participating and the U.S. will be leading. And I think that's exactly what's happening, because I believe we are getting a new financial system and that this will be something that the whole world will benefit from. And that goes with what I wrote about in my book, 3 Steps to Quantum Wealth, in 2021, where I said, I believe eventually all currencies worldwide will be available in a digital format. Bitcoin is not the crypto that will be used as a currency. It is best used as a store of value. As previously mentioned, it does not have smart contracts, uses too much energy, is too costly and slow. Christine Lagarde, president of the European Central Bank, has already said Bitcoin will never be used as a currency. However, XRP can act as a bridge to other currencies. It can move across borders quickly and inexpensively. It is decentralized and is perfect for smart contracts. It could even be backed by assets someday, which would make it preferable to fiat currency. So that was from my book, 3 Steps to Quantum Wealth. And what did we see this week? Judy Shelton tweeting about putting gold behind treasuries. Judy Shelton being Trump's potential pick to replace Jerome Powell. What she said was gold-backed treasury bonds should be introduced on July 4th, 2026 as a signal to the world of America's leadership toward fiscal discipline and a stable monetary order as the appropriate platform for international trade. So this is exactly where I think we're going. We've been talking about countries adopting new digital currencies behind the scenes. I think that's all coming into play, and the tariffs are a lot of smoke and mirrors over what's happening there. But this is a worldwide transition to digital currency. This whole process that we're seeing play out has actually been in the works since President Trump's first term, when he talked about a level playing field for all countries. And what we're seeing is the backbone of the new financial system of all government digital currencies. This isn't about investing in Bitcoin or investing in XRP or another altcoin. This is about the new digital economy and how the whole economy is going to run globally. And so all that we are seeing right now with these two different reserves and stockpiles, I don't think is really where the main action is. I think the main action is what's going on behind the scenes with every country around the world creating a digital version of their money and having it controlled under their own treasury. And this is the biggest shift away from central banks the world has ever seen. If you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart, hit the subscribe button and you'll be notified as soon as new podcasts are available. And all of my podcasts are on my website at lindapjones.com/podcasts. And while you're there, sign up for my weekly newsletter for more wealth tips for your financial freedom. That's all for today. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.